Okay, we're going to be discussing capos, how to use a capo, really the theory, the musical theory behind using a capo, not as much the different types of capos that you can use or where to properly place them on your fretboard, but the musical theory behind it and why it makes playing using the number system and number shaped chords incredibly efficient, more than just memorizing the letters. And I'll show you what I mean. So first things first, what you need to know, what you need to just have memorized before you know anything else is the musical alphabet. And what I mean by that is not the major scale, not the 7 notes that are in the key that you're playing in, but just the 12 notes that we find in Western music from A all the way up to G. You just need to have that memorized from A to G, what those 12 notes are. Really, the key, the shortcut to memorizing this is just knowing that every note, every letter from A to G has a sharp or a flat between it, except for 2 exceptions. B and C don't have a sharp or a flat between them, and E and F don't have a sharp or a flat between them. Every other one does. So you go from A to B flat or to A sharp. Those sharps or flats are the same note. They can be called 2 different things. So A to B flat to B, then from B to C because there's no sharp or flat, then from C to D flat, then to D, then to E flat, then to E, then to F because there's no sharp or flat, then to G flat, then to G, then to A flat, then all the way back to A. Once you know that, and once you have that memorized, and again, just kind of the really the only thing that you need to have memorized is its letters A through G, and that the only 2 letters or 2 combinations of letters that don't have a sharp or flat are B and C and E and F. Then you can kind of do the math in your head and figure it out easily. Once you have that, you can use that musical alphabet to determine how far away one note or one key is away from another note or another key, especially on the guitar. So the distance from one note to the very next note on either side of it is called a half step. And on the guitar, a half step, or from one note to the next, is just a fret. So each fret that you move changes the note just by a half step. Cool. So let's practice this. So knowing that and understanding the musical alphabet, you should be able to start at, say, like an A flat, which is this note right here, and figure out how many half steps there are between an A flat going up to a C. So if I started on an A flat and I wanted to get up to a C, using just the musical alphabet and theory behind it, I know that I start at A flat, I go up 1/2 step to A, another one to B flat, then to B, and then a 4th one up to C, because again, there's no half step between B and C. So let's see, there's A flat, so you go up 4 steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you're at a C, right? So you can take all of that information and you can apply it when using a capo to play guitar, and you can do that in 2 different ways. Number 1 is when you're playing a song in a certain key and then you want to change the key, right? But you don't want to change the shapes that you're playing. So say you're playing a song in the key of G. Well, I'm really comfortable with the number chords in this key. I know this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. And say I'm playing the song Gratitude. So I throw up that's a 1 hands, praise you again. Here's a 5 again. 'Cause all that I have it for, hallelujah. 6, hallelujah. 5, hallelujah. But I realize, oh, that's too low. I want to play it in a different key. Or you come on a Sunday morning and last minute they think, or they say, hey, we want someone else to sing that. That song's too low in that key. We're going to move that from G up to B flat. But I love playing it in the key of G. I'm comfortable. That's how I've learned it. I know the number shapes in that key, and B flat is not a key that I really want to play openly in anyway. So what I would do is, using the information that we just learned, I would figure out how far away B flat is from G, right? So not even thinking about the fretboard. Let's just do this thinking about the musical alphabet. I have G, and then I go up 1/2 step to A flat, then up to A, and then up to B flat, right? So 3 half steps, which equals 3 frets on the fretboard. What that means is how you would apply it with a capo. If I can play in the G shapes open, right? If I'm playing in the G shapes with no capo on the fretboard and I'm playing in the key of G, then when I take this capo and when I put it on the 3rd fret, right, we know that B flat is 3 half steps up from G. So if I put my capo on the 3rd fret and I still play in these G shapes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, then I am playing now in the key of G flat, but just using these, of B flat, I'm sorry, the key of B flat, but just using these G shapes, right? So I throw up my hands and praise you again and again, 'cause all that I have is a heart for hallelujah, hallelujah. Cool. 2 big things to note with this. Number 1 is that it's super awesome because when I'm playing in the key of B flat, I don't actually need to know the letter names of the chords that I'm playing in B flat. I just need to know the numbers, right? So I need to know that there are the shapes for the numbers. So I need to know that this is a 5, this is a 4, right? This is a 1. So if I know my number shapes in the key of G, and I know that if I play those shapes but capoed up on the 3rd fret, I'm in the key of B flat, then you're golden. I just need to know the song in numbers, and I can capo up or down and play in whatever key that is just by knowing the numbers, which is awesome. The second thing to remember is that this can only go upward from, if there's no capo on the fretboard to start with, I can't capo down from G to like G flat or F or E. Obviously, you can't drop the strings lower than the end of the fretboard. I can only capo up, but if I already have the capo on, say I start in B flat, capo 3, and they say they want to play in A flat instead, well then I would just figure out how far away A flat is from B flat. So if you start at B flat, you drop down 1 to A, you drop down another to B flat, then I know that I can start here and I can drop down 2 frets, then I can play those G shapes, and now I'm in A flat. The other situation where you normally want to use a capo is if you're going to be playing in the same key, but you want to use different voicings or different shapes. So let's say I'm playing in the key of D, and I'm playing in these open D shapes. Let's say I'm playing Living Hope. Hallelujah, 4, D, or 1, 5, 6. Hallelujah, 4, 1, 5, 6. But I just don't want to have to sing and play moving up and down the fretboard like that. I would think of another key that I like to play the open shapes in and see if I can get from there up to, or playing in those shapes, but playing in the key of D, if that makes sense. So I like to play in the open key of C, but I want to play these C shapes, but I want to play them in the key of D. I would do the same method I did before, right? I'm starting in C. I go up 1 fret to D flat, I go up another fret to D, so I know that if I capo on the 2nd fret and I play the C shapes, then I'm still in the key of D. Right, so that's my C shape, that's my 1 if I'm playing the C shapes, but it's actually the D chord, right? You hear that, take this off, play the open D, same thing. It's just voiced a little bit differently. So, 4, 1. Cool thing is you can actually, depending on the key that you're playing in, you could try out a few different shapes and see what works. So let's say I'm still playing in the key of D, but I want to use the G shapes, then I would figure out how far away G is from D, or D is from G. So if I start on G, go up to A flat, then up to A, then B flat, then B, then C, because there's no sharper flat between B and C, then D flat, then D, right? 7. So if I wanted to, I could take this and put it capo 7. I could play the G shapes, and I would be in the key of D. This is really cool when you're playing with 2 different guitars, especially 2 acoustic guitars. One can go low, one can go high. You can play the same chords, but they can sound wildly different because they're voiced higher or lower. This is also cool when I want to be able to pick. So I like especially in the key of D, it's okay to pick in this key, but there's just a lot of movement. Like, that's a cool voicing, but a lot of times when I'm finger picking, I like these C shapes better. Right. So there are a few different applications, but yeah, the two main ways that you would use a capo, or the two main reasons that you would use a capo, are number one, if you want to change the key, number two, if you want to stay in the same key but use a different voicing. But knowing, again, just summing it all up, knowing the musical alphabet, using that knowledge to know how far away one key or one note is from the next, and then going back to those other videos that I've created and memorizing the number shapes in each of the open keys, that's C, D, G, A, and E, then you'll have a lot of room to work with, right? You can play in the key of A, but use the G shapes. You can play in the key of, you can just kind of use whatever voicings you want and really start to become artistic on guitar. And you can do it all, again, if you have those number shapes memorized, you can do it all pretty instantly and not have to worry about learning the chords for the songs. I already know my numbers and the shapes for those numbers in each of those open keys. I know how to transpose from one key to the other when asked to do it. And so I really feel confident, and I can explore, and I can be ready for whatever people ask of me.